nature of mind, unable to be really truly tainted by them, no matter how much wandering thoughts we have. And we things are in tinted glasses. All of us are wearing kind of tinted glasses, maybe green or blue or red. We see the world through that lens. But if we learn to remove that, or make it more transparent at least, then we can see things in new ways. Harm, threat, can be challenges, opportunities. You see? So temporally, spatially, everything is different. The process, however, of Zen practice is not to, some people want to be enlightened right away. No, you have to go through this process. Affirm the self, mature the self, and then dissolve the self. See? Part of the affirm the self is a realistic assessment of oneself, facing and accepting oneself. And that is like engaging in some kind of meditation practice, daily routine practice in which you are faced with your mind, right? And not be affected by it. Learn, we'll talk about this later, not be affected by it. Just wandering thoughts, return to the method. Wandering thought, return to the method. In time, you will start to develop a space in which you can have a choice, because you're used to seeing things as passing thought. Most people don't have that space. Most people, when they have a wandering thought, a thought of anger, they just become angry. They have a thought of sadness, they just become sad. There's no gap whatsoever. There's no autonomy, completely under the influence of their thought. Now that's a very dangerous place to be, because your thought arises on the basis of interaction with the external environment. So who here live in a perfect environment in which there's no disturbance whatsoever? Everyone's perfect. Right? So meeting to difficulty, challenges naturally will give rise to the things. Right? But developing that space in mind, developing that choice, you'll be able to actually see it. So the point is not to kind of have no wandering thought. The way to cultivate is to more and more turning on the light. You can see all the furniture, everything here, and not be affected, and still recognize the nature of the space. And then you can have a choice. You can rearrange furniture, you can do that, you can put chairs in the center, cushion on the side. Now we have cushion in the center and chair on the side. You can do anything you want. You see? That's the first stage of affirming yourself. Recognizing who you are, how you tend to be, what is your defense mechanism. Right? And face it, accept it, because that's what you have to work with. It's not that it's bad. The furniture is not bad. You just have to kind of rearrange it. Mature yourself. That's the process of rearranging. If you put a chair right in the middle of the road, it's not too productive. People can trip on it. So you kind of put it on the side. Different stuff, Maturing yourself involves kind of developing virtue. Virtues is something that, 21st century we seldom hear about anymore. Right? Virtue. We live in a time in which is what I call a contemplative crisis. And this is beyond culture, even in Western culture, any culture, Eastern culture. In pre-modern time, there's a strong valuing of generosity, selflessness, patience. Kids are taught that, But we live in a time in which so people can have time to reflect upon themselves. We live in a world in which the pace is so fast that we no longer have time to reflect upon ourselves. We no longer give ourselves space in mind to know ourselves. So how many people actually spend a Saturday afternoon on a regular basis just doing nothing? And I don't mean surf on the net. That doing nothing. Like don't touch the internet, or the cell phone. Now was it G4 or I4, whatever. How many of you do that? Raise your hand. we're living a crisis. Right? So we have to start to develop a practice in which it is an appointment with yourself. Every day, an appointment with yourself. We'll talk about that in terms of meditation practice. And then dissolving the self. We'll skip these exercises. Dissolving the self. Then, once we, first we have a lot of wandering thoughts, right? And part of affirming the self is to realize that, recognize it, and not follow it. To recognize that our true nature is not this wandering thought, emotional up and down. And then develop a choice in which we can nourish certain thoughts, nourish certain values, and then rearrange other ones. That's the process of maturing yourself. And then we will have a chance of truly dissolving the self, transcend the self. Personally, not like reading a menu, like this class, going to a class, a workshop. Actually, a transformative experience, or experiences in which you see the world for the first time without color lenses. It's like putting down 1,000 pounds of weight. You can actually see things as they are, without filtering it through your own perspective all the time. That is awakening. That's Zen enlightenment. And so it's not something mystical. It's not something you don't have already. It's just that we're clouded by the furnitures. We keep on getting caught up with the furnitures, or with the color lens, mistaking that as who you are. So actually, when you see things without glasses, you can see things as they are. It's the most normal way of looking, of experiencing, the most productive. So let's take a break here. You can think about questions you may have.
I attended a class, also the stress reduction class taught by Dr. Babsko, and his teacher is John Campbell. Probably you heard about him. That teaching emphasized the mindful meditation, and also the body skill. Actually, a lot of students, patients from Stanford, they prove that we can actually control the pain by the body and meditation. And one thing is this stress reduction meditation that is a similar to those ones, because the Dr. Babsko, he is also a Buddhist, but he also just teaching in kind of message, not about the Buddhism. Thank you.
Yeah. So did everyone hear that question? Something called the mindfulness-based stress reduction workshop, developed by Dr. Zen. And the method is meditation on the breath, I think, and body scanning. Right? So I actually teach 4 methods. So meditation on the breath, moving yoga, and a loving kindness meditation, and then what I call 1 minute Zen. This is how to incorporate it into daily life. So the principles are similar. The body scan meditation, we actually incorporated, my teacher actually incorporated into our relaxation preparation meditation, which we'll get to do that too. But we use it basically as a method to prepare the meditation proper, as opposed to keep on doing that. His basis is actually Vipassana. They teach that type of scanning meditation. It's a little bit modified. So principally mindfulness, it's a little bit different, right? In terms of this class. In terms of Zen, this is a kind of beginner's meditation workshop that I have developed. Different than the traditional beginner's meditation workshop that we usually teach. So this is something that I'm experimenting with. So it's a beginning meditation, and we have in our tradition, the Chan tradition, intermediate and also advanced. In these two classes, we teach something that's very distinctly Chan, distinctly Zen. That's not really found in other traditions, and that's the method of silent illumination, 默照, and 话头, critical phrase, or 公案, koans. I actually have an article in Buddha Dharma magazine, its winter issue, on the method of silent illumination, which you can look at. My teacher has books about it. Thank you. Yes.
So actually, I have two questions.
Okay.
So the first of all is you mentioned that all the senses are associated with the self, right? The sense of self.
Yeah.
So I think in Zen Buddhism, this is also referred to 7 senses, right? There are 8 senses. So that sense that refers to self, actually the sense that's called Mona sense, right?
Consciousness, 7 consciousness.
7 consciousness. So that's the 7 consciousness associated to the I, concept of I, right? Small I, whatever. So my question is this I being identified in the biological process in some part of the brain? Is this particular sense has been mapped out to a particular part of the brain or not in medical sense?
No.
Okay, so
the quick question is, Western science do not believe the self is a unitary thing in which they map it out in terms of kind of brain regions. They talk about self from different perspectives and different kind of neurological studies and theories and schools will talk about the self differently. It's more like different systems collaborating and working with one another. Because the self is not kind of like one thing. I'm using that as an analogy, this is the self around which we make decisions, but when we actually make decisions, can we lower the volume just a tad bit? When we actually make decisions, or when we experience the world, or we engage in a task, it's actually different parts of the brain. You know, but different systems working together. So it's not one thing.
okay, so the second question is I think sometimes you realize that's the problem. But in real life, when experiencing things, that thing goes to the background, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the part that people need to get practice on.
Yeah.
So for the people that's enlightened, let's say a master of Buddha, he is enlightened.
Yeah.
So is the part of the sociality, those part of sense that put it down, or they're still coming back?
The function is there. The function of the brain is not hampered, or is like absent. But the functioning of our intellect, our experience, our memory is not kind of gone or destroyed. But the kind of attachments that come from misconception, that is absent. Now, your second part of the question has another layer, which is once a person has the experience of enlightenment, do they actually can resort back?
Yeah.
The self kind of re-emerge, and then they have to do it? The answer is yes. But a person who has had some, from the Zen perspective, a verified enlightenment experience, will be very different than someone who hasn't. They will know personally the presence of self is there or not, and they see their problems very clearly. And in the Chan Zen tradition, the practitioners are encouraged to re-experience this, to keep on practice. The practice never ends. Keep on practicing again and again and again and again. I was talking to some people before in this class. There's this one Zen master. He said that he has had 36 great enlightenment experiences and numerous small enlightenment experiences. It was only the 36th one that put the rhinoceros to death. Rhinoceros is kind of deep-rooted self-attachment, self-assumption, self-change.